Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I know this background's probably not what you were expecting. You were probably expecting to see an R32 Gtr, as per the title would suggest. Basically what happened was, on the day that we recorded that video, we had a lot of work to do on the cars, and so we decided that we were going to put off doing the intro and exits for the video to make sure we had the most amount of time possible to get as much done on the car as we could. As you know, this video was recorded a little while ago. My life got really busy, so I was able to record videos. I just didn't have the time to edit them, but my life is kind of slowing down, so I'm back to editing, so you should be getting videos on a regular basis. So as soon as we cut away from this, don't worry, there'll be an R32 Gtr, and we're going to do a fuel pump install, as well as show you some tips and tricks. I haven't seen any other videos before, so make sure you stick around for that. However, two things before we get started. One, if you do like automotive, particularly GTR and S14 content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And two, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have the JD Archer shop. If you go to jdarcher.bigcartel.com, you can see a limited selection of t-shirts I have that are for sale. However, also I do have an Etsy shop, which is going to have more designs on it. It's just Etsy takes a bigger cut of the profits, so go to whichever website you prefer. But like I said, if you want to support the channel, that'd be great. Any money made will go to future projects and videos. But with that out of the way, let's get to installing a fuel pump on an R32 Gtr. So the fuel pump is real easy to get to. It's just right underneath this carpet. It's right, here's the door right here. Yep, and let's go ahead and get the tire cover out of the way. And there it is right there. Of course, they're like so close together, like it's hard to get it. Yeah. So I'm going to record this again because I don't know if the camera's actually recording. When we were pulling this tab off, it actually broke. It broke the part here that locks onto the piece. And the reason why is, see, it's so old that even when we depress this side doesn't move at all. So it wasn't clearing the locking mechanism. So we pulled it, it's just nothing about it, it broke. So now this doesn't really click in, but the upside is because once you put the lid on, this will be pushed into place. You really can't go anywhere. So it sucks that happened. Mike might get a new one of these at some point in time, or an aftermarket one, but for right now, it is what it is. So what I recommend now is, now that this is unplugged, fire up the car. Okay. Because one of these lines is going to be pressurized. And so if we do that, when we actually break these lines loose, we're not going to get sprayed in the face with gas.
If we start the car? How about starting it with pressure?
Well, starting it's going to run all the fuel out of the line, because now there's no power.
That totally makes sense.
The fuel pump's not going to be pushing fuel.
Yep, no, 100% that, yeah.
It's going to sound like you're destroying your car, so just to give you the warning on that.
Just fully started or just prime it up?
Nope, start the car, because you want to have the engine pull the fuel out of the line. Alright, now this is the scary one, because these can break because they're just plastic, and if these break, then you have to buy one of these. So that's what I was saying, this is the scary part. So just remember, the one with the normal clamp is on the left, so the screw is on the right. Actually, you can almost look down there and see the canister. Might be too much. I love how people complain about putting their hand in gasoline like it's some nasty, nasty thing. Actually, it's a cleaner. And it actually comes out cleaner than when it went in. It's just in our case, it's cold as shit. Alright, so there's a clip right here on just the very back of this. I'm not sure if you see it on the camera.
Where's the camera at? Oh.
Yeah, so there's this little clip right here. So you want to do this first. You squeeze this one hand. This whole thing just slides out of the main part of the sled. And then now it's out of the way. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and start taking this thing apart. So now that we're out of the car, it makes it a little easier to maneuver everything, so we're gonna get this ready. Let's see, we already popped over the old sock. Now they give us a new sock with the pump, but the problem is it's at a perfect 90, which won't work once the size of the sled, it's at an angle. So if it's, at a 90, it's gonna hit the roofs of the sled, so it's kind of pointless. So you might wanna order up a new one of these when you're doing this if you can. Otherwise, this one doesn't look too terribly bad. So we're just gonna continue to use it. That's the front. This is the back. Now this is a much smaller fuel pump than the stock one. So you gotta be a little creative with how you're gonna do this. So what we're gonna do is, did I? Yes, I did. So what we're gonna do, yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to first line this up so it's right with the sock. So the sock should be pointed kind of straight up this way. And then because this is a much smaller, we're going to secure it to the back. Now some people use zip ties, but we're not quite sure how the gasoline will affect the plastic over time, so we went metal. So we picked up some of these hose clamps and we're pretty much just going to tighten it down so it's not going to go anywhere. And then that way when we install it, we don't have to worry about it breaking loose and floating over the car. So you don't want to go overly tight with these because you're not trying to crunch. You just want to make sure it's not going to move. Now let's see if this will actually. Yep. See, you can actually put this on. Fits just fine. That thing's not going to go anywhere. So you can choose to put this front piece on if you want. At this point, it's not a requirement. There we go. And pretty much now we just need to splice the wires. So we need a hanger.
All right, so we're going to start splicing wires together. Fun thing. One thing I do want to point out on the, and we may have already said this, on the, I guess what the hanger this is? Yeah. The black with a gray white stripe is positive, and the gray is negative, which if you've worked with electronics, typically those would be the other way around. That really kind of annoys me, but whatever. So this kit came with a couple of crimp connectors with some heat shield around them that we can heat shrink. But I like using the ones that have solder. You get a better connection with these, but you gotta heat them up pretty good. Unfortunately, I've only got some very large ones. So we're gonna try these and hope it works. If it doesn't, we may have to strip and try again. But you slide it in so that it meets in the middle. Take this one over here. Like I said, the black with the gray is positive. We're gonna go to the red wire, which is positive. Make sure that they overlap so that when you heat it up, they will stay together and the solder will get to work its magic. And I got a new tool, a heat gun from DeWalt. And we're gonna heat it up. Never actually used a heat gun like this, so I don't know how long this will take. You can see it's slowly melting down the heat shrink itself. We gotta get it hot enough to melt the actual solder. Nope, we got a problem. Not a bad problem, but yeah, these won't work. It's also very hot right now, so I'm just gonna grab it. So the problem is, and this is what I was worried about, the heat shrink is so large on this, it can't shrink down far. So we're gonna have to use the ones it came with. Unfortunate, but it is still doable. So we're gonna take that here. Now, real quick, I'm gonna do a close up. Make sure it's in shot. You'll see there's a clip in the middle, but then it goes all the way around on the back. So that allows us to basically crimp one side and then crimp the other one. I need a good pair of crimpers, but we're gonna let this cool off a bit because now it's very hot from the heat. Now, we do have this side. Now there are two. This, I am estimating here. I'm pretty sure we're right on this. Obviously this is negative. This is another ground that's coming from the, what's that thing called? Oh, the fuel control unit? Yeah, there's a certain term for it, but basically R32s come with a system that puts resistance on the line to prevent the fuel pump from running at 100%. A lot of people bypass that. I plan on it. We may do that now, we may do it later. But this is part of that circuit, but it's also a negative. So we should just be able to splice these together into there and it run fine, we think. So what we're gonna do, we'll cut those to about the same length. And now we're actually gonna cut this one a little, just in case we need the extra length.
Yeah, I usually try to save as much wire as I can.
But it needs to.
All right, so one of the things I want to do before we put this back in the car is I do want to talk about this sled here, because this was actually the biggest issue of the whole job. As we were trying to figure out how to slide it forward to get it off the cradle. There is a tab right here that I guess would work, but it's really hard to find. I think I was pushing up on this when it was in the tank because you can't see in there. And there's no videos before this actually shows the sled in detail. So here it is, so you can actually see it. So ideally what you'd want to do is to press this, slide it forward, which would be towards the passenger side. However, as a little hack, you can actually just kind of grab it from the front and pull up, and it is gonna kind of pop on out. And if I remember right, actually that's what I did on my R32. It's been, what, 5-6 years since I had my R32, so I don't remember everything. But if you're doing this on your car and you're worried about the sled, getting it out, there's the tab right there. If it doesn't work for you as far as sliding it out, you literally can just grab it from the front here and just kind of pull up, and it's just gonna pop loose on its own. I checked the bracket in the fuel tank, it's not damaged. So those are the two options for you. I would attempt to do this first, and if you just can't get it to work, just grab, kind of angle it up, and it's just gonna pop free.
I'd say front side.
So it sits in the car like this. So
And it'll be right there is where the clip is relative to the car.
And just as a note, it is easier. This part slides out real easy, just this tab right here, and it just slides right out. So I'd recommend taking this part out first before dealing with the sled. We were scared for a second because we thought we messed up something, but this tube right here, the return tube, comes out of here real easy. So if it's in the way, you can just kind of pop it out. It'll come out of the way and clip it back in. So that's our discovery, and it seems like nobody's talked about it in any other install videos. So you get to see it here on an easier way to do this install. Oh, okay. All right, so yeah, this is usually the most annoying part for us, is actually getting it out. Usually getting these things back in is the biggest headache, because you got all these wires and tubes that you don't want to cross or get caught on each other, especially the float. If you screw up the float, you'll never know what your gas level is, and that's always a scary thing. So...
Yeah, but you took this out, I'm letting you put it back in so that you already know how everything's kind of oriented in there.
Yeah, see, as it is already. Aha, that was a little bit easier than I expected it to be.
That scares me.
Nice. Okay, so now I gotta find the rails.
Got it.
And it's not moving. So
Looks like it.
it's definitely locked in there good.
Now, just out of curiosity, what is this?
So, you know, like when your gas gets low and that little idiot light kicks
That's
on?
a little fuel light?
That's the sensor
There you
right
go.
there for that.
I thought that's what it was, but I was not sure.
The biggest thing is just making sure that this doesn't get
Yes.
wrapped around any tubes or anything like that.
Yes, because really do not want to have to change the fuel gauge. Or sensor, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to approve just being fairly persuasive with it. There you go. And in it goes.
The easiest way to do this.
Loosen it a bit and let it tighten up on its own.
No, you put it into here first.
Oh.
That way you make sure it doesn't pinch.
Let me get a good shot of what you just did.
There we go. So now it's like kind of into place, as you can see. And then
That sounded like it just seated right in.
there it is.
That screw is the out. Be sure you track which of these hoses go where when you take this apart.
Yeah. Like I said, fortunately they're very nice. They give you two different clips, so it's easy to remember. The one with the screw goes to the out, the one with the normal clamp goes to the return. Probably
Right.
because the return is under less pressure. Actually, it should be
Makes
under
sense.
no pressure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we got to take this apart because we forgot to put the lock ring on, which has to go on before these hoses. So don't do like us. Do it right.
So I think it was, in fact, easy to say that it was the fuel pump that went bad.
Right.
Yep. Not seeing any leaks.
I think we're good to button it up.
So one thing I want to note before we do the wrap up on this is we did just do a fuel pump. The one thing we didn't do that a lot of people do is the basically bypassing the fuel computer. The reason why is these cars back then, for some reason, they got this idea where they have a computer that limits the voltage to the fuel pump, so you're not running at full voltage all the time. The idea behind that was it's supposed to kind of keep the fuel pump quieter, you know, and then when you stepped on the gas, it gave all the electricity to the pump, so you got your full amount. Mike has very little designs or no designs at all at modifying this above stock level, so we might actually not do the bypass, just that way he keeps the more originality of the car. But if he starts to have issues, it's something that we'll definitely take a look at. It's a real simple process. If he does decide to do it, we will of course record that. And there it is, a full install of a fuel pump in an R32 Gtr. As I did say at the beginning of the video, there was going to be some hints and tricks on here that weren't in any other videos I saw. The main one being that the sled, getting it out of the gas tank, all you really need to do is grab it by the front, rotate it up, comes right out, doesn't damage anything. For some reason, no other videos covered that, which is why that's kind of like the hint and trick that nobody else has covered. So now you know that secret. Hopefully it'll make any fuel pump swap you do on your 32 GTR a lot easier. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go hit that thumbs up button to let me know. It does help the channel out a lot. As I did say at the beginning of the video, if you'd like to see more automotive, particularly GTR and S14 content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on all forms of social media, which include Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, and there'll be links for those in the description down below. Now, after watching this video, if you have any questions, you feel there's anything I've missed, or you know a better way of doing things, go ahead and post in the comment section down below. I will respond to you. I thank you all for watching, and until next time, forget everything else, focus on the finish line.